So why do practice exams work so well, and why is pilot practice exams getting pass rates of 99%, 99.9 actually at the moment, compared to the industry pass rate of 57% and 43% failing, when these guys have 10 times the budget, 10 times the experience, and are charging 10 times as much? Okay, so let's take a look, let's dive into it. So firstly, let me just give you a little bit of a tiny, very quick background. I was a teacher in 7 to 12 for around about 12 years. I was in a very highly focused high school that had a huge priority on what we call pedagogy, which means very high quality teaching and learning. So it's all very focused on the techniques you use to get the most out of your HSC students, and for that matter all the way through from when we get them in year 7 right through to year 12, whether they were a high achieving student or a low achieving student. So that's my background, and I've been able to apply some of the skills that I learned and honed there on like about 1,800 students into aviation, which frankly the systems that they use in most aviation environments absolutely suck. Sorry, no offense to anyone if you work there, but they're not trained teachers. They haven't got the long experience. They don't focus on pedagogy. They focus on flying. So let me show you why we can get these results and why you can't if you go the other way. So first of all, here's the textbook. Now, if we take a typical student, now don't forget this includes people self-studying and on integrated courses, in university courses, in flight schools. This includes the whole industry. The whole industry pass rate is 57%. So their textbook, if we approximate, is around about this effective. Okay? Their study techniques that they're using, which include, as I said, the self-study, the integrated courses, sitting in classes, all those things, are around about that effective, and there's some overlap. Okay, and they come to a total effectiveness of 57% of the people using these techniques pass. Right? So why is what we do at Pilot Practice Exams so different, and how do we get the results that we do? Well, first of all, all these techniques that I'm going to cover up here in a sec, they make the textbook far more effective. Okay, way, way more effective. Why? Because all the things up here use the information in the textbook and allow you to use the textbook faster, allow you while you're there to spend higher quality time, allow you to pick bits and pieces into memory sized chunks. They give you the techniques, how to memorize what you're reading and learning in the textbook. So ultimately they make the textbook, in my opinion, around about 1.5 to 2 times more powerful. Okay? So what is this big orange circle, and how does it massively improve? That's the actual PilotPracticeExams.com website. Now, why is it so big, and how can we make this claim? Because before I introduced these, the blue circle and the yellow circle in the Facebook discussion, we were getting pass rates up around 85 to 87% or so. So I know that it's up around here. Okay, and that was just the PilotPracticeExams.com website. So what we were doing then was we just had people coming in and they were doing whatever the hell they were doing over here with their home study or whatever, and I just provided the Pilot Practice Exams website and really didn't have much interaction or teach them how to learn and things like that. And all of a sudden they started passing on, with very, very high rates. But it wasn't quite good enough. So what it was they were learning by themselves to come and identify their mistakes and go and study, or they were studying and then they were coming to test themselves and they'd identify the mistakes and then they'd go back to study. And yes, we were having great success, but in my opinion, I was focused on the 15% or so that was still failing, and in my opinion, that wasn't good enough. I wanted to help these people. So what we did was I thought, well, hang on, I need to utilize my teaching background, because a lot of these guys and girls don't know how to study properly. Okay, they don't know how to memorize. They don't know how to convert things into memory while they're studying it. They don't know the techniques to lock it into memory. And so I added in all these videos about how to do that. And all of a sudden, our pass rates jumped to about 95%. But I thought, we can make this even better. What we can do is give them more memory techniques, more short-term memory techniques. We can give them different ways of using the Practice Exams website for when they're first studying, when they're revising, getting a few days out from the exams, and then a totally different technique for their short-term memory on the day of study. And then we can reinforce it all with Facebook discussion and some recurring posts to jot their memory, which is another memory tactic. And so I added those in, and all of a sudden our pass rates jumped to well over 99%. In fact, we went for around about, once I started doing that, we went for around about 12 months without me actually ever hearing about one fail. And then what happened was I started marketing us as having no fails. And all of a sudden people came in and thought it was the magic bullet and they didn't need to do any study. They just had to do a few practice exams. And we got a couple of fails. So I've addressed that and told them, hey, you still need to do the work. You still need to do the study. But here's how you do it. And now we've got them. We're just getting the very, very odd fail. Like, one fail every probably every month or two. We're getting one fail. And, that's incredible because the normal way that they're doing it is they're getting, almost half. You're getting 43% fail. So it is the pilot exams are quite difficult. They are quite challenging. But the way we break it down is we break it down into simple steps that are pretty much as easy as 1, 2, 3. What you do is you come and identify your problems, you go and study those problems, and you keep repeating that process until you're ready to sit the exam. The practice exams give you the ability to identify not only what you need to study, but am I ready? Am I making progress? What topics am I making progress on? What topics do I suck at? What topics am I repeating the same mistakes? Okay? And then the study techniques, we give you ways to identify what is the best study technique for me. Which ones are working for me? Which ones aren't? The memory techniques, they're just absolutely brilliant, but for some reason, no one out there either knows them, or if they do know them, they're not using them, or they're not using them effective. And we show you how to use them very effectively. I don't give you 50 or 100 memory techniques. I give you the best ones that work, and I know they work because I know they worked with a decade of my HSC students, and now I know they work with pilots as well. So, guys, that's why practice exams are so powerful, and that's a basis of what you need to do. You can't just rely on the textbook and your old study techniques. What you need is to come in and use the practice exams to identify the topics that you need to study. Then you need to use them to identify what mistakes you keep making. You need to have a record-keeping system, which we show you, to record exactly what your mistakes are and where they are, so that next time you make them, you can find the information faster. You need to have great study techniques, which we show you how to do that. You need to have great memory techniques, and then you need to reinforce it regularly in the chat discussion group and with the recurring posts that I put in there. Now, you might think, hey, how the hell does Facebook reinforce what I'm learning? Well, the thing is, the same problems that you had like a week or two ago, someone else comes in and asks that. They say, oh, look, how do I, what's in the flight test? Or I'm having trouble with density height, etc. And your process of just thinking about that, even if you don't get in there and answer it, if you get in there and answer it, it's really going to reinforce it, because to teach someone, you have to know the content, right? But just that process of thinking about, hey, can I explain that? Or even just having that jotted in your mind is this reinforcement process that really helps you learn. So, guys, that's Pilot Practice Exams in a nutshell. And if you are interested, jump on in, try some free practice exams. When you're convinced and when you've watched the videos and you know how it works, then, jump on in and join and take advantage and basically kiss, 99% chance of a fail away.